the share screen, but we shall do. Let's see, which one am I sharing? That one. All right, so that is not what I was trying to drag over. This is. Oh my gosh, seriously. All right, can you see my screen? You should see a spreadsheet. Okay, so pretty much you'll have your daily tasks, your networking, and then your applications. So what the guide was really talking through was really how to plan your week. And as you're going through your days and week, this is going to be where you capture that. Daily tasks, this is the one I'm still kind of thinking through because, this is some people plan one day where they're going to focus on communication, 2 days where they're going to one day they're going to focus on research. There's different ways that you can set up your day. I'm always in favor of the day where, especially if you have your full days available, you want to focus on taking care of self while you're going through this process, because it will not help you to burn yourself out. I've heard too many stories in this market of, I'm just going to try to get this job as quickly as possible, and they burn themselves out within 4 weeks. Maybe an opportunity comes through that falls through for whatever reason, and they are so burnt out to get back into it. So this isn't, this is more like cross country where you're running for the distance versus trying to run the sprint. So this is the tab that I'm trying to evaluate if it really makes the most sense, because I like the idea of, waking up, going for a walk, taking care of your body, or working out, whatever your self, whatever your fitness schedule or self-care looks like. Do some research in the morning, spend an hour researching companies, spend an hour doing some outreach, that's why I wanted to send you that networking guide. So for someone who's more of the introvert, that's sometimes when it comes to networking, that's me. I can be very extroverted, except when I'm trying to reach out cold to people, I loathe it. So the guide is really to help make it easy. And I know it's very extensive because it shows you all the different ways in LinkedIn where you can find different people to connect with. And it offers a ton of templates to make it super simple. But really, and I can touch on some of that at the very end of this, but, and I think instead of this, I'll propose a possible schedule instead of doing it like this. But I like the idea of, do your morning routine, then start with job researching, then do some networking, then take a break and eat lunch, go for a walk, and then come back. And now you're going to start tailoring and applying. And as you're tailoring and finding these different jobs, are you still, because you're looking for a different entry level finance analyst roles, you just want to also keep in mind as you're tailoring your resume, if you're looking into one that maybe you weren't looking at when we evaluated your LinkedIn profile, is that something that you want to go in and add a couple extra skills because, this job I'm applying to mentions these particular skills. Maybe they didn't matter for the other jobs that we looked at when we did your resume. So you always want to constantly be evaluating. Am I applying for another role that, I should probably make sure that skill's present on my LinkedIn. So keep that in the back of your mind as you're going through that part of your day. Spend 2 hours doing it, then walk, and then have an hour for education and continuous learning, and then walk away.
Well, and I guess not to cut you off or anything, but exactly, are there some good sites to use, and I guess the best website I can think of that comes to mind would be Monster. Not that that's so much good for researching companies, but it's good for just looking at what jobs are out there. And it just kind of and I know you said LinkedIn, but my other question was to the job search strategies thing. Are all jobs that are put on LinkedIn, it was my understanding usually it's kind of as a last resort, these jobs have kind of they've been posted, through other means or on the respective company's website, and they haven't really been getting what they're looking for, so they bring it out to LinkedIn to kind of, pull in people, so to speak.
There's definitely other job sites out there. Monster can be one of them. I've heard Indeed is still heavily used. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I
So
didn't have much luck with Indeed or Monster, but again, like going back to my original question, what's the best way to just start researching companies that I think I might be interested in? Because at least part of me is like, I have ideas, and again, I've applied for jobs. I like to think I gave it, some effort and, modify my resume somewhat, maybe not as much in depth as what you're showing. Like Capital One, yeah, I could definitely see
well, I'm
myself.
bringing this up. This is the first company that came to mind. So,
Well, right.
yeah. But I wanted to show you something real quick. So I just looked up a company. If you see this down here, related companies. So I like LinkedIn for
Where's the related companies?
people also viewed, and it shows you relate, so people who are looking at this particular company also looked up this one. And since LinkedIn is primarily a heavy job search space, that's one way that I like to do research.
Okay. I guess I'm still not exactly following where you see the, people also was.
Yeah, so any particular one that you're gonna apply to, just come here and look up the company name, and you can look up other ones that are in the similar industry. That's what I'm pointing out.
Right.
So as you're coming across one, or you have particular companies on your list, you can just look them up here and continue expanding that list. And what I like to do is, if you're trying to get to know what they're about, click on people. You can look up what they post about. You can look up their insights, but look up their people and see what their people find someone in a similar role of where you're looking to go, or in that part of the organization, and just see what they're posting about. And you kind of get a feel on the culture. And then there are sites out there that I forget what one of them's called, but where they actually have employee ratings of different companies as well.
Okay.
So that's how I like to look them up. And then I think this is a good research tool, but just keep in mind, it mentions that, I believe, on the last page of the guide, when you do find opportunities, whether here and there, you can apply to them here, but go to the company website and try to apply through the website.
Right. Yeah. And that was something I was aware of before meeting with you.
Yep. And then, of course, set, whether it's Indeed, whichever engines you use, set alerts, so that way you're notified of them as these are coming out, so that way you can since you're going to be sending, you're going to,
which I've been doing. Yes, I've been getting.
So that way you know about it right away, and you can get some evaluating, tailor something, and get it over to them.
Okay.
And because you can look up associated members here on people.
Yeah.
I'll just look up.
Okay.
You should be able to do keyword searches to look for particular, recruiter at, so that way you can search through any of the peoples under that org. So that's one way you can find. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Would you suggest, when you're looking at recruiters, would you try to go for someone that's kind of lower on the hierarchy, if you will, and just say, hi, I was reaching out about this role that I applied for. I believe you may be assigned to this, but I don't have a way of knowing as an external candidate. Can you advise further or point me in the right direction?
I wouldn't even do it like that. Let's see, do I have any in here from a recruiter perspective? Because I think what you're actually wanting to do when you send them that email, you're wanting to actually kind of put a little bit of a, really interested in your organization, would love to, I put it in something more introductory. Yeah, because you're wanting to capture their attention. And
okay, well, right. And I was, I guess, in a way, trying to be mindful of their time, but you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I guess maybe I haven't shown as much enthusiasm as I.
Networking.
So
No, that's okay. I mean, I get it. Except I thought I had way more pages. Templates. Where's all the templates?
mhm.
Preparing your like presence, LinkedIn, who to network with.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's related to what you
Here's some of
saying.
them. Okay.
So,
Message to colleague, because this is one that I will add. Message to potential to recruiter. Okay, I'm making a note of that.
okay. And actually, before we end I know we still have a ways to go, but can you show me that part where you were saying about the related companies on LinkedIn? I think there might have been
Yeah.
a delay. We can just keep pressing on before we end later on.
Yeah,
But
no, sure. Actually, I have it open, so let's just do it right here. So let me look up what's in. Let's see.
um, Paris Bank.
I don't know. Again, first thing that came to mind. Company. So again, pages people also viewed. So anyone coming here is interested in learning more. Most likely it's
Yep.
LinkedIn because they want to work there. And then
Yep.
they also took a look at these guys.
Okay.
And it looks like there's even more if I click show all.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and even when you that informational interview, that's really when you're looking, the people you're targeting there is the place you want to work, and look up
Right.
someone with
That's
that
what it,
similar, but look up someone with that similar title. So if the title you're looking at is finance analyst, maybe just hit finance and see who's in that area. And then that's a simple, hey, I'm interested in a role at your company, hoping possibly could I email you a few questions, or would you be able to provide some insight? Would you be open to a few minutes of your time? I think I have something
okay.
in there about that, but and then that way you can find someone who may be open to giving you some insight. And then once you've connected with them, and then that's a little bit of a rapport you've built, and that can be somebody that if you were to pursue that, yes, this is a good fit, and you've built a rapport with that person, can send a connection request, and they may be someone even interested in supporting referral. But it's really just about building that relationship,
Okay.
building that comfort level with.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
But yes, so let's come back to, and actually, I have your emails on the screen.
Mhm.
We covered that. Now, when you mentioned potentially take a course, what were you thinking?
It was suggested to, like take a course on Coursera or some other,
Go for what topic?
finance, or at least what Teal was saying. It reviewed my resume that I uploaded. The most recent one you provided, and it was saying it was missing economics. So I thought, based on your recommendation and based on Teal's recommendation, I should do something in economics to give that more weight and it'd be more attractive, so to speak. And I know that was
Yes.
in part why I'm asking, because I know also in your resumes are just one piece, not as heavily as they were once relied upon.
Right. Well, and that's what we call skill gaps. So because what you're trying to do is considered a career change. So as you're there with your background, there are going to be some areas that you do line up skill wise, but when you're looking at the job posting, the items that you're either not comfortable to speak to or you have no experience, if that's because you're targeting different job titles,
Yeah.
I would be careful to try to pursue them all. But if there's definitely one that's common that you're gonna need regardless of that's coming up often, that may be one worth looking at and looking up something online for, because you want to be familiar with it and be comfortable talking about it.
Okay, but again, I think from what you were saying and based on the feedback you've given, what I really should do is research the company, look up the role itself, and then look up the role on like LinkedIn to see who has that role, and then do the reaching out, right? Like I guess how I'm hearing it is it's like a multi-step like check. Like I mean,
Gotcha. Yeah, let me come over here. So, things open. I'm trying to get to here. Okay, so switching over.
yeah.
So, I mean, as you're looking at your week ahead, because of what happened this morning, on any given week, your priorities may shift, and that's why there's a lot. It's really easy to have a lot hitting, and we can kind of get in paralysis because we have so much that we're trying to think of doing that week. So when it comes down to it, take a step back and what's your focus for this week? Your focus for this week may be just building that company list.
Yep.
And looking at and then researching different jobs, because if you narrow down to a couple of job titles that you're going to pursue that seem to be out there in the market, it'll be a lot easier for you to prepare for those rather than try to be ready for everything. So as you're building this company list, what opportunities do they have? And that gives you, just a couple of different job titles to hone in on. And then you can look at where your skills are lining up and identify if there's a common skill gap that would be worth the investment of your time, because it's going to build you up as a more desirable applicant. Because you do have your finance degree, but it has been a while, right? So these are definitely things that would, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, and I also have that certificate with Cornell in financial management, but yeah, that's also been a while. So
yeah, so maybe then for this first week, and I do this this is just a personal practice I do for myself. I have 3 goals for every week. There's going to be a lot of other things that I do, but these are the priorities for the week that are on the top of my list. So if other things I get to, great. If not, and if too much comes up, I put those things aside because these were the things on Sunday I said have to happen. So maybe for this week, it's researching companies. We'd right here to build that company list, or actually build your company list, because researching is a part of that. Finding, researching jobs, and then starting your outreach. If you're reaching out to people through LinkedIn, then you're getting into the networking piece. And this is something that you're just going to do throughout the process.
Oh.
And maybe you're going to hit a week where interviews start kicking in, and maybe, you're going lighter on the networking that week. And in this, it's interview prep, So this is going to shift just based on where you're at and what things are popping up on that given week. So what do you think? We're Tuesday. So what do you think? I've suggested a couple of things, but what do you think these top 3 things would be for the week?
Well, right. It would, I guess before I do some research, just like take today to take care of anything that I need to post what happened this morning, but then really do a little soul search and be like, okay, as you said, what I liked about my previous jobs, what I didn't like, and my goal is and what I'm targeting for a finance role, and then just say, okay, write down a list of 5 jobs that I think would make me the most happy. And then come tomorrow, as you said, do my routine, start researching companies that I have some interest in that I think have the said roles, and just make a priority to research companies and find 10 jobs between now and Sunday that are of interest, that give a bigger or clearer picture of what those specific job titles entail.
So reflection and job, like which job titles you're interested in pursuing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yep. Research companies that are hiring, and what roles are currently hiring for that are similar, if not identical, to what I'm looking for, and just see how long the posting's been up, how much experience they're looking for, and then reflect
Company
on
list.
my resume and what I have to offer, what are the nice to haves that I can offer, and then critically look at, all right, what don't I have that could be a negative in my case.
Well, keeping
And
in
then,
mind though, yeah, I
um,
mean,
sorry.
oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, this is great early prep work because yes, you're at that point. You're starting the process now. Yes, this is also part of that.
Mhm,
But once you do begin finding
mhm.
items that or jobs that you qualify for, I wouldn't wait a week to finally send that out.
Or
So
not
if
all like goals, like in terms of goals that you
so
complete.
begin so begins applications.
Yeah. I guess set a realistic goal of attempt to apply to 5 to 8 jobs by the end of this week.
Okay. And actually I've heard the general rule of thumb, given that for everyone that we apply for, we're going to tailor. And if there's a potential gap,
Mhm,
you'll probably, while you're looking at the keywords, you may be researching some of this on
mhm,
your, in parallel. So,
mhm,
so I've heard even some just from metrics, they
mhm.
have a target of applying for 5 because 5 quality will beat 20.
Well, right. But again, I figured to kind of get a good head start that in part I found that I guess they say if you have like a big to-do list, you really should eh, try to do some of the shorter tasks first to kind of get the dopamine to like, a
Mhm.
good
Oh yeah.
accomplishment to get the momentum going. And then really, um, and again, I said 5 to 8 as I thought that was a realistic, you're not overkill, but workable, an attainable
Yep.
thing for the first week on accounting where we're at. Just and then from there, I can gauge how it is, next week, assuming I meet all these goals, which the priority is to accomplish and check off each of those.
Yep.
So,
So hone in on those job titles.
mhm,
Begin building that company list, and it says begin because you're going to be building this as you go through the process, and then
okay,
applying. And when you build this company list, like you're honing in on these, on opportunities for these roles. And then by end of week, apply to 5 jobs, meaning tailored, you know, and researched. Very cool.
okay. I didn't know in terms, and again, maybe I don't mean to jump.
No, it's okay.
It does come up like as to what happened with this job, as I have told a couple people, in part because I needed feedback, but also just on different avenue. I'm like, all right, this could affect this, etc. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, you're going to want a prepared response. So that way, A, you don't get nervous and clam up because that's going to potentially show that you're trying to hide something. Um,
well,
and
and not so much from a job. I'm just saying from a personal standpoint, because I know you had given good advice. You're like, yeah, it isn't really people's advice as to how I did or didn't do in a job.
no, it's not. That's not going to come. I mean, so do you have any interviews scheduled for this week?
Not currently, no.
Okay.
But I mean, again, and that's kind of what why I asked. I'm like, potentially I could get another job doing pharmacy tech work pretty quickly from my source, who's usually pretty reliable. I mean, usually what they've said has been pretty accurate or on point. But again, I also don't like the work.
I was going to say, I mean, would you want to do that and end up because any lessons learned are going to apply for any job, right? That's
Mhm.
just us, our continual growth. But if it was to the point that it could have been maybe how the organization ran their shop too. Maybe that was part of what you didn't like or what just made it difficult to work there. But if it was the type of work in general, then
Well, it did seem that some of those things that occurred in the feedback I received from my previous manager in the last job I did, where I thought I was doing a good job, and then I got politely said like, "No, actually, you're doing kind of crappy," and I'm like, that was kind of just it kind of hit my self-esteem, and I was
Yeah.
eventually gonna ask like, "Oh, you know," and they politely said, "I want to give you more hours, but Nick, you're still making the same mistakes over and over." And I'm like, I thought I was doing better by being more diligent and taking my time. And you know what I mean? Like it was just a self, like, he kept putting a Band-Aid on and it kept kept getting lashed at. It's never going to heal a wound like that.
So it could be that, it could be just how it was done there and maybe the dynamics with some of the managers handling your training. I mean, I'm only if you were to consider going back into that type of job, I would assume that that's what you're hoping for.
Probably
Is that was the case?
I might be getting more of the same. I mean, and I did reach out to one of my old finance professors who I kind of wanted to emulate in a way before all this happened, before I took the pharmacy tech training. They were like, I'll just be realistic, Nick. This pharmacy work is probably not going to help you get a finance job, even though, as we discussed previously, like, oh, in an interview, you could say, well, I thought doing this work might lead to finance health care jobs in the future. It didn't. It kind of was, oh no, it might work out. You're just, you don't, you know what I mean? And not that I want to take up too much time. And, I guess I have a habit of doing this, but, so.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna make one adjustment.
Mhm.
Okay, is my audio better? I didn't want that to be all loud in your ears. I was trying to move things around.
No, I think the audio is fine.
Okay,
So,
I'm doing stuff on my end. Okay, I was worried that you were dealing with that. Okay. Well, I do agree with your mentor there, but I also understand the need to have income coming in. So, I mean, that's just going to be something you're going to want to decide. And do what you feel you need to do for your situation. So I don't think that that's something that anyone can tell you. Because your goal, can somebody move in, do a career change into finance while working full time? Sure. People have built businesses while working full time. It took longer and it was slower to accomplish, but it's completely possible. We all got to live and eat in the meantime. So,
right. So, okay. Well, in that regard, I'll look, because I do want income coming in. I guess I'm adamant that I could receive unemployment based on what they told me, but I know that would take review too. So that wouldn't happen overnight. That's good. That's a couple week process.
yeah,
So
I guess, are there, with the roles that you've researched, are there like entry level finance type roles that you can get into? That way you at least have you can have something coming in while you're trying to get into the role you really want to be in. That way at least you're kind of in that world.
I mean, again, it's been a while, but a lot of these roles, and maybe I'm just expecting different than what's been told to me. And you're not the first person to say, is it possible just do an entry level job? And I'm like, I think I'm worth more than an entry level job. I haven't really seen too many that say like entry level or just.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I've
Let's
seen like
see.
intern.
Jobs.
So,
That's okay.
but I mean, it was also advised like, oh, I think, you probably could get a job. I don't know how long it would take. Um, but it was also told, the right opportunity will present itself when you're ready. And I'm like, well, let's just move that to the left and let's hurry it up a little. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. So,
So if I take finance, if I take analyst out
mhm.
and
Yeah,
just do entry level,
right. I've seen like a lot of like financial planning or like kind of what I did before as an intern, where I wasn't crazy about it, but I took it to further my career, and I learned valuable experience. But that's kind of where I want to leave it. And, like that financial analyst right there in Rolling Meadows, Illinois, that looks promising. I mean, and
yeah,
again, I'm just looking at the title, not looking at anything else.
but let's take a look at it though. So requirements, competencies. You have advanced Excel skills.
Mhm.
Um, you have organizational skills. Again, we all have opportunities to develop and grow them. Some some companies are more fast paced and demanding than others. So
Mhm.
any job you get into, once you get a feel of the pace
Mhm.
and where that company's at, you'd have to be comfortable
Mhm.
making it a goal to adapt yourself to whatever pace they're at. But and honestly, even when I was more entry level, that meant
Mhm.
working some late evenings to be able to make sure I was prepared the next day, so I appeared like I was on it, until it became more natural and I was, it says fast paced environment here. So
Right.
you kind of want to have a game plan for some of that, but required, you have that
Yep.
2 years related experience.
Mhm.
So how would you speak to 2 years of related experience for finance analyst? I know, and I don't have your resume in front of me, but I recall you've done some analysis involving some numbers and different, so I think that that's what we would be
Mhm.
leaning on now. And you've done some presenting to leadership or providing those results. So
Mhm.
I think you've done some of that.
Well,
Bachelor's.
and this is where when they say required and they're saying 2 years, if you go over that threshold, is that good or bad?
No, that's good because then you just say in your, um, when you send the cover letter, with 4+ years of
Right.
finance experience, you just kind of highlight it like that because then you're calling out, hey, I'm a little above
Mhm.
your requirement, because it says preferred 2 or more. So then anything they say under preferred, if you meet that, honestly, okay, well, obviously, unless you're seeing that this is a requirement across
Yeah.
all the job types, I would not spend money on that. But a background or coursework in insurance, if this turns out to be common, this
Mhm.
would be Coursera. Go do some on insurance and see what the heck they're talking about. So you can confidently state, I've done some coursework on insurance. And in the cover letter, you're just letting them know, guess what? I meet your requirements, but I
Mhm.
actually do have a degree in finance. I do actually have more than 2 years. You're kind of letting them know that here's all the areas where I meet your preferred list. So
Well,
they're going to get 100 people that maybe just have this, but only 10 that have some of these. You want them to know very clearly you're in that top 10.
well, right. And now I have a couple questions
Yeah.
because when you say 2 years of experience, I would put the 2 years not in my cover letter. I'd put it in my resume.
Yeah, in the top section, yes. And I
Okay.
know in the top section, I forget how we put it because again, I don't have it open, but yeah, in the top section, you know, 4 years of finance related work.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I would definitely up there be mentioning some of this too. And then just, and as you're doing that, feel free to send it over. Hey, Angel, I'm about to send this. I rewrote the top and I wanted to incorporate this and this. What do you think?
Yeah.
Feel
Oh,
free to send it to me. And if I know you're actively doing that, I'll try to, because I do work during the day, I will try to, I can always take a break because I don't,
yeah.
I get those. So I can easily take a look at it and provide feedback just so you're getting that active feedback because I know you just need it in that day. But once you've done it a few times, it'll get
Mhm.
more natural and you won't be so hesitant with touching the top part. There's some things you want to keep in there, but then there's some things that you can completely tailor it because you want them to know I'm in that top 10. Look at
Right.
me.
Okay. Well,
Because that's where it's not, that's where we can't take it personal because you could be in that top 10, but they had one applicant that had this too. And if you were them, you'd want to look at that person, right? So it's never personal. They're looking at the best fit for what they need. And they may think that until they get to know that person, they may think this is the winning ticket. It may be that person has a horrible attitude and he's not the best fit, but
uh,
it's just their initial calls are going to be based on what they perceive to be a good fit.
well, and I understand what you're saying about the Coursera for insurance, but I actually was interested in pursuing the CFA when I was finishing up undergrad, when I got my bachelor.
Gotcha. I don't
So
know what's CFA,
it's
certified finance analyst.
chartered financial analyst.
You know what? Considering that's where you want to go, that may not be a bad idea to look into then,
Uh,
because that
yeah.
if it's mentioned here and this is a finance analyst role, I'm actually by Rolling Meadows. Um, if you know if you've done looked at other jobs and that's common, that would be something that I would agree is worth the time.
Okay.
I talk to so many people that because they're trying to just do a career change and break into tech or break into product management, and they're taking so many certifications that are in different areas of the tech world, and it's like they're unrelated. I mean,
Uh,
you could
okay.
so
Well, I mean, I would definitely be okay with doing, I don't know. So one of my friends recommended Power BI and I started taking
mhm.
it, whether I was
I've heard
just
of Power BI. Yeah,
about like looking for jobs. I couldn't really focus on it. And I guess fortunately it was only like $20. And they're like, yeah, you just take this. It's like a couple day thing. And then, you got that. It would look good on the resume. And
Power BI was on some of the job titles that you sent over, by the way.
so I should probably take a point to just, eat the fee and take the course in the, because as you said, I mean, it shouldn't be an all day, all week thing. You're doing all the steps, but it won't hurt, so to speak.
So, and I'm going to send you this. I did this, although I'm having to write it with my cursor because it's on my screen.
Mm,
So I hope that my cursive with a mouse is not, I hope it's readable. Um, but so I'm going to send you, I have a couple things written down. I'm going to send that proposed schedule because frankly, I know what I was thinking when I first created this, and it sounds nice and
mhm,
cool, but to me, this is confusing.
mm,
I like it as simple as, and I think I'm going to update this with that proposed schedule.
Yeah.
So if you have, once you've gone through this week, this reflection on
Mhm,
job titles will change. This will be a different goal. It may be applying to 5 to 8 jobs this week. It may be now I'm going to start networking next week. And it may be, you know,
okay.
but I would suggest part of that daily schedule is going to have a 1 hour learning time. You get your brain off of job search stuff and you have 1 hour where you disconnect and just focus on
Mhm,
building those skills. You could
okay.
decide to do it 2 hours, but what is your learning goal for each week? And that one you mentioned, it may be two just, dedicated time, but Power BI would definitely be one that would be good to have on your list or on your resume. And you don't
Right.
have to be a pro. You have to have gone through something enough to where, because especially with your advanced Excel experience,
Yeah.
it's related. It's one
Hmm.
of those advanced skills. And I imagine once you're familiar with it and you see how it kind of fits, if you were to have this as in your job, you would
Hmm.
be able to clearly understand why they want you to have that skill and how you'd use it. It'd be
Well,
easy for you to talk to that and just say, yes, I'm familiar with it. I've done some training on it. Um, along with on the job experience with Excel and running,
yeah.
the advanced skills that you had mentioned.
Okay. Well, and again, I mean, I don't, and at least just what my take was, I guess I was expecting more from Power BI, and it just seemed kind of like I don't know. It wasn't really that appealing to me, which is a little concerning. I guess but again,
Well,
I also had, I don't know. I seem to have expectations for like how I'm reading these jobs, and then I see the jobs and I see what is, and I'm like, I don't know. Is that like, do I need to like maybe adjust my expectations somewhat?
don't overanalyze. That's what I would suggest. I mean, because with what I just heard, you're like
Mhm.
analyzing why would they even use Power BI? I don't think it's that big of a deal. That's
Yeah.
not how you probably intended it, but that's how it sounded. Honestly, it doesn't matter why they're using it. It's part of their process. They think it's important. And it may be advanced Power BI or more of
Mhm.
an intermediate experience level. So you definitely
Mhm.
have to go in there having some exposure to it. So whether or not it makes sense for them.
Okay.
That's all that
Okay.
matters.
Okay.
And you just want to be able to show that, you're familiar with it because
Yeah.
your familiarity, depending, if they say advanced Power BI required, okay, don't apply for
Yeah.
that one because you're not
Right.
advanced.
No.
But having exposure means that you can easily apply to it and just be comfortable to speak to it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I did it, finance Power BI. Now these are data analytics, financial planning. So as an analyst, if
Mm-hmm.
Power BI comes into play where financial planning and analysis is concerned, maybe that's it. Maybe it's the ability to, I don't know what Power BI does, but run queries or do whatever it is, lead Power BI
Mm-hmm.
developer. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever they use it for, as
Okay.
an if it's you're seeing it common, and I've seen it in a couple of these finance analyst roles, it just means that they want someone who has the ability to be able to pull some of that data or do whatever it is that Power BI lets them do.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I would that would be, if you're saying it would only take a couple days to be able to put that on your resume though, that sounds like
Well,
an easy win.
yeah, and maybe I should have taken it more seriously or just paid attention a little bit more.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that. You noticed it, you looked it up, you asked somebody about it. So
I paid
you're going to
for it.
come across a oh, you did pay for it. Okay, well there you go.
I mean, it was
So
20. It wasn't that like it
yeah, yeah.
was kind of insignificant.
Well, but if it allows you to put it on your resume, it's not going to be so insignificant, is it? So
Insignificant in that the cost is like, all right, and then I kind of just dropped and never finished it. So
that's okay.
unfortunately,
You're going through a lot. And I have been in that position at a company where I have been pushed out. It sucks. It is high stress every day, even though you're just waiting for it to go. Um,
so
I knew I was not going to quit. They made me they tried to make me miserable to quit. I'm like, no, I have kids at home. You're going to push me out. I'm not leaving. You're going to make me leave.
you're not the first person to tell
Those are
me
my
that.
terms
You're you're, you're not the first person, and that's
because
kind
then
of
I
what
can claim unemployment. If I leave, I can't.
that's that's kind of why I stood my ground. I don't like
Mhm.
being pushed around, but if it's I'm gonna claw on until they have to cut it loose.
But it's a
That's
smart
fine.
way to do it. They want us to leave so they don't have to pay for unemployment. Absolutely not. You're going to make me leave because you're going to pay it while I try to figure out my next move. Like it's a little bit
Yeah.
of a stubbornness streak, but it's like, no, we know how the world works. So, no, we're going to do it the way we need to. And that is, you know, that helps position it for us while we have to go through this transition. So, absolutely not. I'm not making it easy for you. Um, so no, you did what you had to do. So don't worry about that. You found it, you identified it as a skill gap that would be valuable. And you're right, because I've seen it pop up several times, which tells me in that small sample that, and we're even doing a search, if you
Yep.
were to hit more data analyst, finance analyst manager with
Mhm.
these high salaries, Power BI is coming up. So yeah, it seems senior finance analyst. It seems like a very smart thing to get on your tool belt.
Okay. There actually was two other questions, and I don't know. One, I am going away Friday. I'm going to be back next Tuesday, so I
Okay.
don't know if that affects it. But
Yes,
I guess
let's.
my goal to sign up for Power BI or sign up for it maybe either before or after I get back from vacation. The second was I am going to be speaking hopefully to a finance manager with my auto dealership There was a job I was aware of that for someone that was retiring, that they since decided not to put up the job. But I was going to ask after my initial ask of why they're calling me back, to say, hey, I had expressed interest in working for your organization before. I was aware this job was filled by someone that since retired and that you had absorbed it or someone had absorbed it. Is that still the case, or is there potential for that to change? Is that a bad ask? I know you said from a
It's
networking.
Yeah, no, from a networking perspective, it's not a bad ask, but I would propose to approach it with what you have to offer. Hey, hope you're having a great week. I once expressed interest in this role that I know was filled, but I hear it's potentially open again. And I just wanted to let you know that I am looking forward to bringing my experience in this, this, and this,
I need to get
to serve your customers. If you send me an email of that, I'll jot down a proposed verbiage, Nick, and I'll send it over to you.
Okay, well, because they're supposed to be calling me like right after we end.
Oh,
So kind of
okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, we can take a couple minutes.
okay. But all right.
Yeah, and
Well,
I know I'm glad and this is exactly why, just so you know, why I wanted to be able to send this information, these guides ahead of time for you to consume it. Because when we come here, I know that the best use for the investment you're putting into this is to be able to ask questions. Let's talk through them and focus on where you need it. So a lot of it is just being able to review that. Here's what I wanted to share with you. Now let's just spend all this time talking for you.
and that's kind of where I've asked other people, and frankly, it's gotten kind of ridiculous with the amount of questions and help I've asked people who they're like, "Oh, I haven't had this issue," or "I haven't really had this issue with finding work," and I'm like, it's been a tooth and nail process.
When's the last time that they've been in the job search, though?
They
So
have- they just, for some reason, they've done they've done what have found as to be successful. And even they had said, what I think makes me successful is because of like how I was brought up, or because of this, or I have the right connections.
what's one of their names? I'm morbidly curious now.
Matt Schwartz.
Matt Schwartz?
Yeah. Oh, SCH. Yeah. SCH. Yeah. That's it.
I'm just morbidly curious if he's, his history.
No, he's
Because, if he's currently employed, which one?
No, he's not. He might not. Well, he's in politics, but he's very good at networking. Like
Oh, he's okay. Yeah, he's probably very good at networking. So just so you know, like there's a lot of people who have historically, my last job I found in a month. My job before that, it took me, that was the only job that I actually found while I was looking for another job, because I was I wanted to cross career boundaries and get from tech into business analyst. Actually, a very similar transition you're trying to do, different starting and finish points, but I was trying to go from one area into an analytical role. And it was going from the tech, it was literally crossing boundaries. And that took about a year of positioning myself, preparing for interviews, studying up on little gaps to prepare me. And that one, but that's because I was working and I had the ability, and I was very methodical. I raised my hand and got every type of experience I could. I even took someone's business requirements that they wrote and then went through and analyzed them and identified gaps, just so I could say in my resume that I did a gap analysis. And I actually did find gaps, and I gave it to them and said, hey, by the way, what about this? Oh, thank you. Yeah, we definitely would need that.
Yeah.
So I spun it however I needed to. Experience is experience. I didn't have to have the job title to claim the experience. I scheduled a risk review session to say, hey, for this project, I think we're missing this and this. But just because I scheduled that one session, I said risk management. All you have to do is do it once, and it can go on your resume, and you can talk to that, and you don't have.
Yeah, some of this has been repetitive. multiple times. Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, so the point of that story though was
Mm,
a lot of people who were able to easily find jobs, if they go into the job market right now, some
yeah.
of them are going to be like the one-offs. I know a developer who just left the company I'm at now.
Hmm.
She left within a month and she's working for McDonald's, I think. I don't know how the heck she found one so quickly. Maybe she had an inside person, but some people are positioning themselves or getting in there, or they have a referral. But
Hmm.
the majority of the people are getting into the market and realizing
Hmm.
what helped before ain't working now.
Right.
So I would just take any people who are giving you that type of feedback, take with a grain of salt, because even as a coach, we have
Mm.
to like let people know, look, there are people with the best of intents giving a lot of bad advice because they're giving outdated advice that will not help right now.
Or it works for them. What works, and that's kind of where, not to go back to my job, but like, they, kept putting a Band-Aid on it and it kept thinking it was going to get better and it just never got better. It just didn't
Mhm.
work. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's like, you're putting an electrician in a plumbing job and it's like, oh, that's how much good is that going to do? Like
Yeah.
that's so, but yeah.
So, I'm just looking real quick. So I'm going to send that proposed schedule, and I'll have it in this tab, proposed schedule. As you're going through your networking, just don't worry about putting all this in here, but
Mhm.
the name, their LinkedIn page, if that's how you found them,
Mhm.
and then whether or not you connected.
Okay.
And link to reference letter, that's just if that's involved. I may remove that because that's only if
Mhm.
that's a part of it. But we're going to talk about next week, once this becomes your goal,
Mhm.
which we had here, right now these are your 3 goals. If you
Mhm.
start networking, great. Start
Okay.
doing that. And then note it. But next week, I'll challenge you to have a goal. So apply to 8 jobs maybe for next week,
Mhm.
network with 5.
Mhm.
It does not have to be big. And networking can simply be sending a connection request or finding someone at a company and
Mhm.
requesting an informational interview. And if you're not sure on any of that messaging,
Mhm.
let me know and I'll help you with that, because I did include some in there, but hey, maybe that's
Mhm.
the one I help you with may be good to add to the networking guide to help people in the future. So,
Okay.
um, yeah.
I did actually have a question when you said connected. If it's via LinkedIn, w- connection means you sent a LinkedIn request and they accepted it, or you sent a
Connection
LinkedIn.
just means you made the attempt. So,
Oh.
and whenever you're sending a connection request,
Mhm.
always send it with a note.
Oh.
Oops, remove that. I did it wrong.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the CEO of yeah.
All right. So add a note. Always add a note. And then that's where the templates come in. There's always a way to make it personal. Sometimes, hey,
Yeah.
I have family from Los Angeles. Some way to kind of connect with them. Or you can look at, hey, I just there's different ways you could do it. When I am connecting with folks on LinkedIn, I'm always finding something in common with them or something as a conversation starter. Whether, if I had Salesforce experience, maybe that would be it. But I find kind of a nice low key way to make the connection, and then that's the note that I include. Um, so they don't have to accept it for you to note that as you attempted to make a connection with one person. That's it.
Mhm.
That's the goal. Um, because not everyone's working their full-time jobs, they have family, not everyone's going to reply because people are busy. It's nothing
Mhm.
personal. That's why we want to get some out there, because you'll end up kind of identifying out of 10 one person will
Mhm.
reply, or maybe it's 20.
Mhm.
um, and if networking is not you feel like your
Strong
strong
suit.
suit, it can be simply doing it this way with the templates that I'll help you with, and then find a couple groups for you. Find
Mhm.
groups that are in finance analyst. Let's
Mhm.
see, search groups,
Mhm. Mhm.
finance analyst, go to groups.
Mhm.
And I would definitely join all of these, not all of
Mhm.
them, but find the top ones
Mhm.
and just start participating in discussion. Read through them, and eventually you'll find one that's interesting and do a reply to. add commentary to it. Get involved, because you're going to find there's
Mhm.
some people. A lot of people think this is a weird way to do networking, but in the groups that I've been, I do try to
Mhm.
be active in just a couple. I have 3 of them because there's too
Mhm.
many to try. I find the one with the most people are the ones that have the most engaging conversation. And there's some people that I find I reply often to their posts just because I like their personality. I like how, you and I are on the same page. I don't know who you are. And then
Mhm.
after I've replied to several of their posts or we have an exchange, I go and connect with them in LinkedIn. Then that's
Mhm.
another connection. I can look at what company they look for and see it work for, and
Mhm.
do they have openings? Could that be an opportunity? So the more you connect with people through here,
Mhm.
connect with them, discuss, and after a couple exchanges, then send them the connection request. That's another way to network.
Mhm. Okay.
And maybe you reach a point where you're interested in sharing something interesting as you're going through that CFK, I think it was, that whatever you mentioned. Um, you could get to a comfortable point where you're willing to share something on there. And
Mhm.
then there's a high chance, especially in this one, finance analyst, 191,000 people, hiring managers are part of this group. So at
Mhm.
some point, you start to kind of see who these individuals are. You can look them up in LinkedIn, follow them, so it's just a way to build rapport.
Mhm.
Because the more you expand your list, and this is the one thing I want to show you,
Mhm.
and then we can drop. I'll go to just anybody in mind. Let's pull up a person connection.
Mhm.
The nice thing about this is, oh no, let's look up a company, Capital One.
Mhm.
Let's say I apply to Capital One.
Yeah.
I have 22 connections that work there. As you're in these LinkedIn groups and you're
Mhm.
kind of building that rapport, and as you discuss with people, send them a connection request, I'm going to apply for a job. I'm going to go there and I'm going to see, do I have any connections working there? They could be a potential referral partner. Um, and
Mhm.
if I don't, then that's where I want to connect with somebody there. Because
Mhm.
when the company comes and looks me up in LinkedIn,
Mhm.
they will look and see if I have connections to any of their people.
Mhm.
If I'm already connected to some of their people, even one, I already feel more part of their culture. I'm already connected. I'm not just someone who doesn't know about their organization. If I'm connected with multiple people, I appear more part of their culture. So there's also a double benefit there because it
Mhm.
helps that trust factor. Look at this. He applied for our role and he's connected with 2,200 other people that work here. Interesting.
Uh,
Let's check him out.
oh wait, who's that? What do you mean?
I'm using myself as an example. I'm connected. It looks like I didn't
Oh,
realize this, but I'm connected with 22 people who work at Capital One. I didn't know that.
right. Mhm.
So if I were to apply for Capital One,
Mhm.
hey, that may be a plus for me compared to other people with similar
Mhm.
qualifications who don't know anybody.
Okay.
Again, this isn't part of my qualification. It's part of building that know, like, and trust factor. I'm more trustable or trustworthy. I don't want to say trustworthy, but I'm more likable because I already seem like part of
Mhm.
their group,
Yeah.
if that makes
Okay.
sense. And
Yep.
I've heard this with different LinkedIn experts.
Mhm.
I've heard this in different forums, and it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
So that's where the networking comes in, because you just don't know which one of these individuals are going to be the one to help you in the future. Right now, you're just making connections um,
Mhm. Okay.
to position yourself.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, we spent a couple minutes over, but I do have my to-do list. So again, send this. I'll send you that verbiage that I mentioned, and whatever that other thing was. I have it written down. So I'll send
Oh,
those to you tonight.
the wording for that with that manager that I
Yes, that's what I,
put
okay. Yep,
again.
that's what I wrote down.
If
So
you
I'll
could
send those
send
to
that
you.
in the hour, that'd be terrific. That the verbiage, the wording, if you
You know
could.
what? Let's actually do that right now because I am going to get back to my desk and
Mm.
honor my day job and make sure I'm being good to them.
Right.
I spend my
Okay.
lunch doing stuff during the day. My lunch is my time, but I try to be
Okay.
honorable
Okay.
to them during the day. Okay, so you're meeting with the manager. I'm going to send this to you now.
Or just gonna be talking to him briefly. So,
Okay, so and you're going to be talking to him briefly. He's also in the pharmacy industry. And what did they say
no,
they let you go up?
no, no,
Oh
this
no,
is
sorry, he's the one that. Okay.
He's with
Um,
the auto industry. He's the
so
manager.
really, yeah.
Well,
And I'm gonna send this
I was
in.
interested in a role that of someone that retired that I met with last year briefly, and I thought I had a big interest in doing that job. I thought I could. I thought my skills would align well with what you're looking for. I followed up, and they said that, oh, actually, um, the role was absorbed by you or someone within your finance organization. And I was just seeing if that has since changed and the role is back up in terms of looking for someone to fill.
Yeah, that all sounds great. So what I want you to be able to mention though is what you bring.
Mm-hmm.
I hear this role may be open
Mm-hmm.
once again. Um, I just wanted to express my interest
Mm-hmm.
um, and how, I mean, this is how I word it, how much,
Okay.
let's see, express my
It
interest.
was like a finance sales role. So someone would buy, release a car, and the person would, handle the paperwork, so to speak.
Yep,
So, they contact the banks, et cetera, all stuff
with
that,
a finance
that
degree, I,
have a
and,
certificate as well in financial management. I have a,
well, I wouldn't say finance management because you don't want to seem like this is more, you don't want to seem like you're like
an
at that
individual
management.
contributor.
Yeah, finance.
Okay.
Could we say finance analyst? So I
Not
was going to put
exactly.
finance data and reporting.
I'd have to check and see exactly what I don't even remember what my role was. When I
Well,
was,
but in the past at Sikorsky, it was more of a, I think it was called, you had it listed, I could open your resume, but like implementation or what was that?
Hmm,
You were an analyst.
okay. I was a financial rep. So,
I'm just going to say finance data and reporting because you dealt with a lot of data. So finance data so with a degree and experience in finance data and reporting, I look forward to bringing. Um,
okay. And I guess, is there a reason why you'd started as, I hear this role may be open, and it's kind of brief, but it's a little vague.
I'm bullet pointing it. I'm not crafting everything out because I want it to come out how you would talk. I'm just kind of, you're really letting them know that, hey, I applied for this role or I showed interest in this role, then it was
Mhm.
closed out. I hear it may be
Yeah,
open once again. I would just say may, because unless they've listed it, how would you know, right? So I hear it
right.
may be open once again. And I just wanted to express my interest, with a
Yeah,
finance degree and experience in finance data and reporting.
yeah.
Um, I specialize in now at a dealership, they would have to make sure they're following legal requirements to the T. So this may be something, I specialize in regulatory, and legal uh, requirements, as well as reporting. Oh, wait, as well. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of some of the highlights that would
Mhm.
more, if you're doing all of the paperwork for a dealership, again, the legal stuff comes into play. Um, yeah, so the finance degree and experience in finance data and reporting.
Mhm.
I specialize in regulatory and legal requirements
Mhm.
as well. I mean, honestly, I like to add a nice twist, like nice, just enjoy, like I was thinking as well as just enjoy numbers because you're going to
Yeah,
be doing a lot
that's
of
what.
paperwork and numbers. And I like to add just a nice light, where I'm not trying to sell myself. I'm just sharing something about me. And I really just like numbers.
Well, right, and that's what I had expressed to the person who did my professional photo. I was like, oh, this is what I want. This is what I enjoy doing, and yeah, I really like the numbers. So,
Yep.
Um,
So
okay.
yeah, so let me send this to you. It's just bullets, so you can kind of make it your own, but that's kind of the gist of it. Let me get this over to you now. That way you can kind of hang up with me, practice it a couple times to where it can be comfortable, and you can always have it on your screen. Okay, so good luck with that.
Okay, terrific.
All
I
right.
appreciate the help. This
Of
was very
course.
beneficial.
No, this is the good stuff. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let
All
me know
right,
what
and,
happens.
yeah, we'll see about what day next week.
Well, and actually, okay, yeah, I will email you about that later so we can get that booked. I do try to schedule the next one at the end of our call, but I know I want you to practice this, so
Yeah.
we'll do that later. All right, bye.
Take care. Bye. Thanks.